Can you give me your license and your registration, sir? You were speeding.
I'm so sorry. I don't know. I've been having a really rough week. Was I speeding? I'm so sorry.
Oh my God, you're pathetic. You're getting charged double.
I'm so sorry.
No good. Okay, you get a double violation
For bad
for
acting.
your horrible attempt at crying. Welcome to another episode of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. I always feel like I need applause going whenever I say that.
Like children applauding.
Yeah, like I do at my karaoke show. That's
Hooray.
right. Woo! Yay!
Hey.
All right, so welcome to another episode of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker on this April 6th, 2022. Wow, we've made it to April 2022. This is coming up on almost our 2-year anniversary, Greg, of doing the podcast. It's just a couple of months away. 2 months. We'll have 2 years doing this thing that you never wanted to do. Anyway, and our client for today is You Just Don't Care.
Behold, trapped in a hellscape of their own invention, socially unaware old white men bound by the pretense of being fake lawyers yet knowing no law, no exquisite Latin terminology, they are inexplicably compelled to quibble over minutia, squabble over triflings, and bicker like those who value their backyards far too highly without even knowing the difference between an easement and an alleyway. At this very moment, you have entered the heart of the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. Let's get started.
Are ants all over your counters, climbing on your hands, resting in your ears while sleeping, carrying away your children? Fear not, because the revolutionary scientists at Ant My Problem have developed startling new technologies to remove your ant infestations once and for all. Ant My Problem has brought to life the Pied Piper of Hamelin to remove your ant problem today. Known for handling rats with aplomb, the Pied Piper was able to pivot, and now his musical serenades eliminate ants as well as rats from any home. You'll be fascinated as you watch him march away with thousands of ants and other insects. After an extensive search, Ant My Problem located the gravesite of the original Pied Piper from Hamelin, Germany, known historically as the preeminent pest eliminator. With their patented cloning devices, Ant My Problem resurrected the Pied Piper using cells from the marrow of his femur. The Piper gladly chose to allow Ant My Problem to use their patented shrinking device to make him ant-sized in order to hit the frequencies necessary to control the ants. Multiple Pipers with tiny pipes and fifes were also brought into existence in order to help many consumers battle their plagues of ants. Each Piper is given a tiny house to live in while located at your yard or home. They only need to be fed 1 Piper pellet per day to survive. If you want your pesky ant issue removed completely, contact Ant My Problem today at www.antmyproblem.schmuck. That's www.antmyproblem.schmuck.
There's no .schmuck. There's org, gov, com.
Yeah.
So you're the only person who has the .schmuck.
There's a lot of other things, Greg, in case you didn't know.
Really?
Yeah, there's .rocks, there's .info, .tv, so many things. So why not? I mean, Ant My Problem, buddy.
But don't you think that this is something maybe the private sector can't really deal with, and ground force, Earth Force will have to deal with?
What?
Earth Force.
This is like the one of our earlier fake sponsors.
Well,
Earth Force.
It's the military. I mean, God, the Earth Force could totally take care of ants.
They'd have to handle, but this is like a private sector thing. It's not a public sector.
That's what I'm saying. It's don't privatize this shit. It's like the government can do this.
Well, pest control is privatized. Pest control isn't done by the government.
I know, but if we have ground force, they'll be able to. I'm sorry, Earth Force. They'll be able to deal with this much more efficiently. Sometimes, as a left-wing communist, big government is better, and have the government do everything for us.
The government is inefficient at best.
No, they're not.
And they're going to come. Office. Yeah, the post. Let's look at the post office. Why don't we?
When was the last time you lost a piece of mail?
They lose mail all the time. Haven't you heard the stories of postmen who pass away and they find thousands of pieces of mail at their homes that they had squirreled away over the years?
So you think if it was private, those guys would have been better?
No, I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm saying that pest control is currently privatized, so it makes sense that they would do that. But however, I find it fascinating you're sticking on that issue as opposed to the issue of the morality of cloning the Pied Piper from
There's nothing
Germany.
wrong with that. He was very happy to be reborn. But I mean, you conveniently forget that the Pied Piper would also have all the children go away too. He
Well,
didn't just like get the
that's
rat.
more of the myth as opposed to what he was really hired for, which was to catch the rats.
Yeah, and then if like you're a week late with the payments, he's gonna steal everyone's children in that town.
But in this case, the Pied Piper is miniaturized, so he couldn't really steal the children. He's too tiny.
Oh, so he's like Ant-Man.
Exactly. But he can't he doesn't have control over his own size. Plus he's been cloned like thousands of times over so that he could be used by people across the country.
I didn't understand why everyone else had to be tiny and have a small house.
Well, no, it's all of the clones of the Pied Piper are tiny.
Oh, I thought it was like the customers had to be tiny.
No, no.
I thought they were saying we'll provide you with a tiny house while you're tiny.
Yeah, no, it's for the Pied Piper. It's where he lives while he's on your property, keeping the ants away. And you might want to have more than one Pied Piper, I would think, living on your property to handle ants if you have a major ant problem.
That was the most imaginative sponsor we've ever had. Like this could be a movie, a great movie. Imagine a world where the Pied Piper is cloned.
And he does pest control at your home in a little house in the corners of your yard, serenading the ants away.
He's too small to deal with rats now. He can only deal with ants and mites.
I would think they could probably shrink him to different sizes for different animals, like so that he wouldn't necessarily get eaten.
Just like Ant-Man became Giant Man, if you had an elephant infestation, he could turn into giant size.
But apparently, Ant My Problem, the company that is doing this, has incredible resources that they're just using for pest control.
It's like Shield.
This amazing technologies that nobody else has, and they're the only ones who have it, and they're using it specifically.
Yeah,
it seems like a misuse of a technology like that. Like
they could clone Einstein and be the biggest corporation in the world using his brain, but no. We have to deal with ants.
Instead, they find the Pied Piper, which must have been a task in and of itself. It's like, where is he buried? Well, I mean, you get a general idea of the town, but like,
he's not even a real guy.
I think it is based on a real guy.
Really?
I mean, why would Hamelin be this small town in Germany be the place where this particular legend was created, though?
This little folktales are written about Hamelin.
Yeah, but there's folktales written about so many things that don't have towns associated with them. You never hear about Puss in Boots of, Madrid.
Of Akron, Ohio.
Right. Cinderella of Portugal. You don't hear about that. You don't hear where the towns are. Yeah, Portugal's not really a town, is it? It's one giant town. So yeah, that's not part of it. So it seems like there would be some truth. It's kind of like the King Arthur mythology, right? King Arthur's of Camelot, and they're always trying to figure out where Camelot is, thinking that's like Camelford or whatever that is, or if King Arthur was a real person or not. But generally those things are based in some kind of truth, like Robin Hood, goes back to the time of King Richard.
What's a Robin Hood? Do you think there was a Robin Hood? There was a dude.
I think there was some guy who's probably of Locksley, and maybe he was, a criminal of the time, and he got away because, we know that King John existed, and that he was briefly in control when Richard was out of.
But I bet you $1 million that he did not steal from the rich and give to the poor. He was just a charming.
Well, he probably stole from lots of people, and he gave to himself and maybe a couple of buddies, and who were doing too good.
Because when you look at the 30s, all the gangsters like Bonnie and Clyde, some of those people, they were like seen as Robin Hoods, but they really weren't. They were just like, yeah, we're gonna steal from the banks, and everyone hated the banks.
Right?
It's not like they're like, hey, we stole from the banks. Everyone take some.
Yeah, they're romanticized criminals like Jesse James or what have you. Or you, for that matter. You've been like romanticized and put in your own mythology. So it's
yeah, people look up to me as I think Jesus was like that because, like, when you think
they call it Greg Pettix of Portland.
When you think of all the religious leaders we know of in our lifetime, they're all a bunch of charlatans, like the big ones. Jerry Falwell, Jimmy Swagger. They're all just a bunch of douchebags who like are scamming people. I bet Jesus was. That's why we know his name. If Jesus really was a great righteous man, we probably wouldn't know him. He wouldn't have. He was probably this egotistical, sociopath who was just like, look at me. I'm a narcissist. Everyone, I'm great. But throughout time, we now just see him as this humble, great guy. But we all know that, like, I'm sure in 1,000 years, Jerry Falwell will be like worshipped as this great Christian leader. He was just this amazing, selfless man.
I think there's too much documentation that shows otherwise.
But that might,
and that's what I think works against that.
I guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Billy Graham could pull that off, but I can't say Jerry.
Look at Reagan. Reagan. There's plenty of documentation. Mm-hmm. But over the past 30 years, Reagan's whole presidency has been revered now. Democrats will even say, "Oh, the great presidents." Lincoln,
well, during his time, he was lauded for being a great communicator, which was the big epithet that was used for him. If epithet's
he just seemed nice. Is that
no? That was the appellation. It was he was called the Great Communicator.
I thought he was the Teflon president.
Capital G, capital C. No, Clinton was the Teflon president.
No, Reagan was.
Bill Clinton was the Teflon president because he had all those scandals and things.
That term was made for Reagan.
Was it?
Yeah, because Reagan,
I don't remember it being
he
for
seemed
Reagan.
so nice. He seemed so avuncular. I hated Reagan. I was a punk rocker as a teenager. I was like, oh, Reagan's ruining this country.
You're right. It was definitely Reagan. I thought it was.
But I kind of liked. But when you saw Reagan talk, you couldn't help but just be like, I kind of like that guy. I wish he was my grandfather.
Now wait a second. You said avuncular. Do you know what the word avuncular means?
Yeah, it means Reagan.
No.
Very nice and just you kind of want to like the guy.
Okay, well, kind of, sort of, but avuncular means relating to an uncle or a relationship.
No, that's where the root comes from, but it is.
Well, that's the actual definition of the word.
I know, but you think that they really made a word to be I need to talk to my uncle?
It means being or relating to an uncle. That's the definition of the word. It's friendly, kind, or helpful, the expected behavior of an uncle. That's
exactly.
Like an uncle. That's what I mean. You're saying that Reagan is looked at like an uncle?
Well, he was more like a grandfather. I mean, he was old, but he was
So it'd be a granduncular.
Granduncular in the truncula.
It'd be more like that, I think.
No, but maybe Reagan was a very old uncle, but he seemed like this, just so sweet when he talked. You just kind of liked him. I mean, I get it, and I hated his politics.
Well, he was very charismatic. It came from his time as an actor. I mean, that's what he built his career off of was the fact that he was a likable actor on screen, and so that's how he was able to become the head of the Screen Actors Guild, and how he was able to become governor of California, and how he was later able to become president of the United States. Doesn't explain how Trump was able to become president of the United States.
Yeah.
Because he's no uncle that I ever knew. Well, actually, he would probably be a lot like one of my uncles, who was a very big Trump supporter, honestly.
He's anavuncular, Trump.
He's anti-avuncular?
Isn't Anna another word?
You could call him Ann Trump instead of Donald.
No, anavuncular. It's like anarchist.
Like Anne of Cleves?
And Anne is a negator.
Like Anne Boleyn. It was Donald Boleyn. He would have married Henry VIII and been executed for not having children.
My God. You're such a sober drunk. It's amazing. The way your brain spins off to random things.
Well, we haven't even gotten into the client yet for today. And our client is you just don't care. And a lot of this stems from. So let's just talk about where this client comes from. So everybody who's paying attention. Honest. A lot of the things you don't find out behind the scenes are that generally I'm calling Greg up a couple of days beforehand because I keep expecting that maybe one day he'll care enough and contact me beforehand and go, hey, what's the client going to be that we're going to talk about this coming week? What is it going to be about? And so I thought this week I'm not going to call him. I'm going to see if Greg cares at all. And I've learned that today Greg just doesn't care. So that's the client for today is you just don't care. And the reason being, I got a text from at 2:00 this afternoon, 3 hours before the show would be going, hey, what's our client for today? Potatoes? So Anyway, but that
I
was
still
like
need a sponsor.
that was after I had sent a text to him and Brendan, who currently is not caring because he's on sabbatical.
Well, don't send shit to Brendan anymore, by the way.
No, I'm sending it to him if I choose to,
Why?
because I care, Greg. I care.
You
see
care to
Brendan
pester
again.
your friend.
It's not pestering. It's not pestering.
He'll come
By the
out
way,
if he
this is
wants
the
to.
Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker, and you guys have just walked right into the middle of what this show is all about. We are quibbling, we are squabbling, and we are bickering, and that is going to be the entire
So let's explain
show
to the
today.
listeners. We have a group text with Brendan who lives 3 hours in the future. He's in Florida.
He lives
So-
in the future.
So Matt will do all of our like group text stuff. Sometimes at 11 at night our time. So be like, hey, tomorrow.
Because
It wakes up
other
Brendan.
people do not send texts so that we can
But
talk
Brendan-
about these things
But
beforehand.
Brendan does
So
not
of course
like being
I
woken
get
up.
blamed for finally like putting something out because I get
Send
tired
it
of
to
waiting.
me.
I
Why
get
don't you
tired
send
of
it to
waiting
me?
for other people to actually give me information, something that we could discuss, so we could talk about, so we can have
So
some
send
kind of
me
a
a text.
conversation.
Send me a text.
Why don't
send
you
Brendan
just send a text, Greg, if you don't want that
I
to happen?
could. I'm
You
just
could.
saying.
Absolutely, you
No,
could.
that's a different issue. I'm a lazy
totally
fuck.
the issue of today, which is
No,
you
I'm a
just
lazy
don't
fuck who
care.
doesn't care.
You care that I sent a text at night that might possibly, maybe will bother Brendan a little bit. That's the thing you care about. You don't care about actually fixing that problem by you taking control over
it would fix it by you just dropping Brendan from our.
It would fix it if you were able to control me and when I send something. However,
can I do that?
you're unwilling to control yourself and send a question out yourself long in advance.
I'm not going to send it to Brendan. That's for sure.
Well, fine. Don't send it to me. That
shouldn't.
could still handle the conversation. But
You
either way,
shouldn't.
you're not taking any responsibility other than saying you want me to do something different.
You know what the difference here is?
You don't
one
care.
is-
That's the
No,
difference.
yes, but the other issue is
Yes.
it's what separates us. Okay, I'm going to do my little acting bit.
Okay.
Miller's Crossing, everyone, best movie ever made.
What?
It's what separates us from the beasts of the jungle, the beasts of prey. Ethics. Ethics.
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm asking for. Ethics. Ethics. I'm asking for ethics, Matt.
Yeah, but you don't have any either.
Yes, I do. It's
No,
like-
because you're not doing anything to take responsibility for it. That is your lack of ethics and full-blown. It's fully realized in this case because of that.
I don't even care how loose our show is. I don't give a
Right.
shit.
You don't care. That's
care,
my
but that's not
point. You don't
ethical.
care. You
Like-
could solve it, but you don't have the ethics to solve it.
I can't solve anything. It's our
You
show.
can
It's what it is.
easily. You could send me a text or you could call me
I
on your
thought-
own without me having to reach out to you. That would make it more fair. That would be proper ethics, is to create
be
more
fair
fairness.
if
But
I
you
cared
don't
about the-
care enough to
If I
create
cared about the
fairness,
podcast
Greg.
as much as you
So you're
do,
not even a
sure.
true communist in the sense of wanting fairness for everybody. Instead, you want me to do all of the work and you reap all of the benefits. That's what you want.
What benefits?
You want it all, Greg.
Benefits.
All the money all the dough we're rolling in from this podcast. That's what you want. You want it all with no work other than you just showing it up and and flashing your pearly whites to everybody. That's all that you want.
It is funny that the main thing I prepare for, like for our podcast, is I mean it doesn't often happen, but
Yeah.
like it's like I have to have booze, cigarette.
Yeah.
That's the first concern.
Yes.
I don't care what we talk about.
That's what you care. You care about
Because I'm
alcohol
drunk.
and smokes.
I do because I ever since the first episode, it's just like it's just a fun, drunken conversation from my end.
Yes.
Just like that's what we started the podcast. You and me would hang out. I'd
Yeah.
be drunker than you. You might be slightly buzzed.
Yes.
And we'd have this conversation. So you were like, let's turn this into a podcast.
Well,
So
that
without
initially
the
was
booze-
I wanted to do like maybe a YouTube show or something is what it was. And
That's
then
the same.
because of COVID,
Same
turned
thing.
into the podcast because
Yeah.
it was I'd lost my business and I had nothing else to do.
Yes.
So it was like,
And-
all right, let's make it happen.
And everything's open now. And that's why Brendan left, because Brendan now probably has his life back.
Well, that's part of it. Plus, his son got out of boot camp.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
He's visiting, so he's staying with them. So he's spending more time with his family. So, yeah, which is understandable. But, you
Yeah.
know, if he hadn't done that, we wouldn't have this beautiful visual over my left shoulder.
So
of,
you still want to pester Brendan.
Him
though.
eating a blue hot dog, and he's
Even
got
though
little...
you know Brendan has a very good reason not to be on the show, you still feel the need to pester him and wake him up.
It's not a
sometimes.
pester,ing Greg. It's
It
just a
seems like
reminding that we still exist and that we're still here for him,
He'll
and that
contact
we're still including him in issues regarding the
I'm
podcast.
pretty sure Brendan will contact us if he wants to do a show. He'll be
That's
like, "Hey,
all
guys,
well
I've
and
got
good,
some free
Greg,
time."
and I've learned that basing things on your opinion and moods is never the right thing to do. So that's why
It's
I
an
do
opinion.
things.
It's just ethics.
No,
just
it's
that.
not, Greg. It's not ethics. You do not
Yes,
have
it
a
is.
moral high ground here at all.
No, you might. So
Right.
many times
No,
Brendan,
exactly. You do not have a moral high ground.
No,
That is
Brendan
absolutely correct.
Brendan has so many times said, "Please, guys, don't text me late at night."
He has not so many times said it. He said it once.
A bunch of times.
He said it once.
He doesn't like
He
texts.
said it
He
once.
doesn't even like texts in the daytime.
He didn't say he didn't like them. He
He's
said
an
he
email
generally
guy.
looks at his email, but he does
He's
read
an email
texts
guy.
as well. He does.
Yeah.
You have like conflated things into a much bigger issue than they actually happen to be.
I'll conflate you
Your head is
like a
conflated.
balloon. It is.
You know,
I
the
just
reason I
pressed
got
the
you the
300
laptop
pound
was
button.
so you could actually connect your Ethernet to it so we wouldn't have glitches like you just experienced there.
I didn't hear a glitch.
Your head froze. Well, you wouldn't hear it. Your head froze.
No, I'm saying that's your computer's fault, probably. My computer's
Not my
working great.
computer's fault.
My computer's working great.
It's
I
the
haven't heard
internet.
glitch.
You're not using a computer, Greg. You're using a tablet.
Yeah, and it worked great. I have no problems.
You just,
So you should look at
you
your
just,
computer.
you just did have a problem. It's not my computer. It's
I
the
never did
signal
that.
from the internet. Right. You wouldn't notice it on your end. It wouldn't show up on your
No,
end.
so fix your computer so you
It's
don't have
not
to
my computer. You are so illiterate. You like have no clue how things
I'm
work
Fred
at all.
Flintstone.
So everybody out there, I got him a laptop, I got him a microphone, I got him headphones. He couldn't figure out how to use the headphones, so he went back to using the tablet. So that's why you get the quality of sound that you guys get, is because of the fact that, you know, he's unwilling
Very
to
good
learn
quality.
because
I
he
want
just doesn't care. Anyway,
of our
let's get
listeners
in. Let's
call
get
in.
back into our client. The client again is you just
This is
don't
the
care.
client. We're talking about it. We're talking about how
Right.
I don't.
But I have like a list of quotes that we were generally to get into so we can discuss like which is most effective, you know, because we could get into like the reason your relationships go south is because you generally just don't care enough to change to fix the things that will fix the things in your relationships. But we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to address these particular statements and see if they match up with you. So and I'm not going to do them necessarily in order. I'm just going to like read them off randomly, ones that seem interesting.
So you're saying I should have willed myself into having a bigger penis because that's why most of my relationships fail.
They fail because you're not big enough?
Yeah. So like
I have a feeling
my
that's not
fault?
really true, Greg. I have a feeling that it's not really about sex.
I'm kidding.
Why your relationships fail, because I've had plenty of conversations with you, and so have the people who paid attention to the podcast, who know exactly how you are, and so they know why your relationships fail as well. So, and at no point have we ever seen your penis on this, and we don't want to either. So anyway, getting to
Okay,
these
30
quotes.
minutes. I'm gonna drink enough. That it's gonna happen.
I'm
Everyone
not
wait,
drink enough. No,
my
you're not.
penis-
You're not
My
Gatorade
penis will
enough.
be appearing in 30 by the end of the show. I'm whipping it out.
So here's a quote: "The less I care, the happier I am," and I think that's very true for you.
Yes, I hardened myself. I mean, I didn't try to on purpose, but I was always just so hurt. I felt like my heart became this cold little frozen pea. But then I realized it always was. It wasn't like, because when I look back at my life, there were some people who wanted to be affectionate with me. There were some women who were like, obviously being like, hey, I like you, I'm available. But I was fucked up with the Catholic bullshit and the self-hating. I always had this tiny heart.
Yeah, a tiny heart.
But it became a positive thing when I realized how fucked up I was and how often, though, when I
maybe you'll agree with this quote, which is, "Fake people have an image to maintain. Real people just don't care." In other words, you're a real person because you don't maintain an image of any kind.
I couldn't if I tried. I don't have the brains to like be like, oh, I'm going to be like a dandy.
I'm a dandy. You're a dandy?
No, I'm saying I couldn't even try that. Like, oh, I'm going to try to be like, come off as a dandy or a jock, or I don't have the brains to or the wherewithal to pretend to be someone else.
Do you think that sometimes you just have to stop caring, you have to turn off all emotion and feelings to protect yourself from getting hurt?
Well, it seemed like it wasn't a conscious thing a lot of times. It just happened because I think I really didn't have much of a heart.
Right. But here's what I think is like kind of the opposite of what you are, which is when you're truly comfortable in your own skin, not everyone will likely like you, but you won't care one bit because you're not actually comfortable in your own skin, are you? You prefer the skins of others that you've taken with other.
I wish I was like, those sci-fi movies where like they're like, we've taken your brain and we put it in a robot. And they're like, no. I was like, I would love that. A robot that wouldn't like have to shit and like get little cuts and like I just care about my brain. My body is like a separate thing. I'm like, I've always hated my body. I've always been like, fuck my body. It gets to be around, so I appreciate it. But if you could put my brain in a robot shell, I'd be like, this is perfect.
You would be like from Doom Patrol.
Robot Man.
Whatever he's called. Oh, by the way, Happy Hour News Team has joined us on YouTube. Thank you, guys. And their comments are, now this is the quibbling I've grown fond of. Do it! In exclamation points. I don't know what they're referring to.
Bickering.
Yeah, this isn't quibbling, guys.
Yeah,
we're quibbling about your statement, but this is squabbling and bickering, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I don't know what they mean by do it, though. I don't know what they're referring to. I'm sure it'll probably show up on the screen at some point as to what they're referring to. But anyway, getting back to how you don't care. So, the other quotes we have is, I don't care if you never speak to me again as long as you remember me for a lifetime. That's a weird one. I don't care if you never speak to me again as long as you remember. I don't care if people remember me for a lifetime.
Yeah.
That's not a heartless enough for me.
That's probably like a narcissist guy, it's just like I still have this ego. I want everyone to be like, oh, that guy. I remember him.
This is the one that speaks. This was one that speaks to my ego, Greg, which is don't care if someone hates you. People usually hate the one who is better than them.
They're just jealous, man.
They are. They hate me because they know. Yeah. They'll never be like me. Which is weird because I don't actually have that feeling about myself. I don't consider that I'm the person people should strive to be because I recognize my mean streaks. I recognize my faults, and I don't necessarily wish them on other people.
Once in my life that happened to me where I had some like kind of friends who were always pretty nice to me.
Uh-huh.
And then by some weird miracle, like I pretty much still was like this. Even in my 30s, I was no prize pig. And I started dating like the hottest girl in town.
Uh-huh.
I mean, she was my friend, so I knew her. And
the hottest girl in town. How big was this town?
Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson. Wow, that's major.
I mean, just
the hottest one. And in Arizona, it gets pretty hot, especially in the summer.
Yeah,
so you dated the one who was like out in the sun the longest.
Yeah, her hair was on fire all the time. She was so hot. She's flaming.
She was a flame.
Yeah, but I'm saying that like it was so weird to actually, never in my life have I ever once thought that guy hates me because he's jealous of me because I am nothing. I'm this big loser.
I am nothing. I'm a worm.
But I got to see like it was so fascinating. I gloated about it. I was just like, hate me all you want, sucker. It's like, look what I got, and it was like this woman was just every guy I knew. I'm just not all Tucson, Arizona. Obviously, didn't know her.
Yeah.
Everyone in my like group of friends every guy who met her was in love with her. And then she started dating me. And all of a sudden, these guys I knew for years who were always like, hey, Greg, want to do something? All of a sudden, we're like chopping on me and like insulting me and like and I was like, oh, I get it.
So what did you do to show you didn't care to her to drive her away?
No, that was just it was like one of those things where we're still friends.
Yeah.
We just didn't have the chemistry. Like we totally liked each other. We even broke up and still lived in the same apartment for 2 months while she waited to move. And it was fine. It was just like, yeah, I guess we were just friends because we were friends for years.
Yeah.
And then we became more than friends. And then after, it was still pretty good.
Well, this is an interesting thing. Is this your typical methodology, Greg? Do you become friends with women just so you can let her date them? Oh, definitely.
Because I'm so unattractive. Not many women are just like, they have to know me before they...
But is it
Is that
your plan? Do you plan that? Is that like where you
no?
get into it,
Well,
like, I'll become their friend, and then
I don't do it.
eventually they'll like me enough to want to actually date me.
I
I get to have
become their
sex with them,
friend
and then they'll
because
break up with me because I just don't care.
I
And
become their
then
friend because I really like them enough to be in love with them. It's not like
you
I want to
like
be in
them
love.
enough to be their patsy, you mean?
Well, most women didn't want me to be their patsy. That's
Uh-huh.
not often.
Oh, yeah?
This woman was a great woman who just wanted to love me.
She just
But
wanted to love you.
I had a small heart. I was still in this weird spot until my 40s where
Uh,
when I had a girlfriend, I was usually just like, oh shit, I just want to be alone. I can't wait till they leave.
oh, that hasn't changed?
But no, it has. In fact, it's changed too much.
Oh.
Where I've been like, wow, this girlfriend is not great, but I'm gonna stay. I'm like fixated or so in
Obsessed.
love.
So put that in quotes, please. So in love.
No, it's not. It's full on love.
Oh,
It's
no,
so much love
I'm really sure
that
you have no idea what it means.
that I don't care about. That it's not the best relationship. I just
Uh-huh.
love them so much.
Yes. I love them so much.
Yeah, I do.
Because you just don't care enough to
No.
fix whatever needs to be fixed to keep it.
No, I can't change myself. I am who I am. If you like,
You
love
can
me
change
for what-
yourself, Greg. That's a lie.
Sure.
It is a lie. For people who say they can't change their behavior and change the things that they do, it's a
not
lie.
like-
You can.
It's not like any girlfriend ever broke up with me because my behavior is so shitty. It's just like they fell out of love with me. They realized, wow, this
Oh,
guy's
yeah.
pretty
They
unattractive.
fell out of love. How does that happen? They were dating you for some reason.
Yeah,
They fell out of love. It's like, wow, it's
you
just
never had
accidental.
You never had that happen where it doesn't work out. You're like, oh, our chemistry.
Things don't work out for very specific reasons, which is generally a personality flaw. It's what-
No.
Yes,
Why do
absolutely.
you think I'm still best friends with some of these? A lot of my exes, like we're best friends
Because
We
it's
love
not
each other.
a compatibility
But
based upon
yes.
those character flaws.
Exactly.
You
it
can be
was just
friends, like
No,
friendly.
we totally loved each other, but
Yeah.
we just didn't have that chemistry. So it was like,
You've been so lied to.
we're roommates. Like,
You're lied to by yourself and other people.
what do you mean?
Chemistry. I tell you, this is
Chemistry,
not the
yeah.
chemistry there.
If you have a
Just fell
partner,
out of love for no reason. They just
if you
think
have a
that I'm
partner
ugly
that you don't
now.
want to have sex with anymore, that's not a good relationship. It's
They
like,
don't want to
oh,
have sex anymore because of some vague, unknown reason. Don't know.
Yeah.
They just fell out of love.
it's called pheromones. It's
getting
called
pheromones.
yeah. I've had totally high rates of-
You
When
just
people-
don't smell the way you used to smell anymore. I have
You don't
to
believe
get
in
away from
pheromones? You don't believe in the totally scientifically proven pheromones, where some people just are attracted to people. There's no good reason. You're laughing at a video.
You're such a fool.
No, you are. You're laughing, and
No,
you're totally
you
like, oh,
are.
that's all
You're a
science.
fool. No, Greg, it comes down to you just don't care. That's what it comes down to. And
No, I
that's
do
why
care
they've left
now.
you, Greg, is because
I do care now, and then
No.
I've been a lot of relationships. I've
instead
had
you
the past
care
few
about the intangibles like pheromones or chemistry or they just fell out of love. There's no real reason for why they fell out of love. It just
years. Matt, do you like
accidentally happened.
you like
Nothing really
breathing,
caused it. It just happened.
Do you like breathing? Oxygen's intangible. Oxygen is this thing. It's pretty good. Oxygen. You want oxygen in your life.
You can actually put oxygen in a container, Greg.
Yeah, and you can put pheromones in a container. Those are real, actual
Put
things.
chemistry. Put chemistry in a container, Greg.
It's not like phlogiston.
Put your reasons for falling out of love in a
Pheromones
container,
are a
Greg.
real thing. Pheromones are things that scientists can detect.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. There's a reason why people make cologne and perfume. I understand that, Greg.
yeah.
But, it's not something that totally takes away people's intelligence and their will
It
to
doesn't.
be with or without somebody.
No, but it's nice to fuck someone that you're really excited to fuck.
Yeah, because
Even
they
if it's not
smell
a
the way you like
relationship.
them. They smell like cinnamon or whatever the hell you like them to smell
I've
like.
never smelled pheromones. It's that you can't actually smell it. It's just some chemical that we're like, I like being around this person. I don't know why. They're not they're very different than me.
Because you don't care enough to figure out why you like being around them. That's why.
No, I
Yes, exactly. You just don't care. You just don't
dated.
care, Greg. You don't care.
There's women I've had the hottest sex with in my life where I knew exactly why I didn't like them.
Now, what makes sex
God,
hotter with somebody than another? What defines hot sex?
I don't know. That's why it's so intangible. It's like sometimes you could be. I've been with the most beautiful woman I've ever known in my life.
Yeah,
and the sex wasn't as good as someone who I actually would see on the street and be like, "Oh, she's ugly," but then like one kiss, I'll be like, "Fuck, what was that?"
I mean, you seem so excited about that. I think you actually sprayed spittle all over your tablet just now.
I did actually.
I
missed my tablet.
I saw things like spraying.
No, I missed my tablet, luckily, but I'm going to wipe it up right now with a tissue.
Well, I think this is a good moment to go into our cooking segment for today. That was quite a heated discussion because you just don't care. So we're going to...
I don't care about your nonsense. Yes, that's true.
My nonsense.
But I think I will care about Waspy's recipe.
Do you think it might be a good one today? It's rare.
Yeah.
It's rare that they're any good, actually. So
I like them all.
All of them.
I like Safe Mart.
What?
Sorry.
Go. The question is, why did it stop?
At Safe Mart, it's a Safe Mart. Time to Safe Mart and be safe.
Safe Mart is a proud sponsor of Food is for Eating with Waspy Soda Pop. Today's special, 5 balut for $5. Come get some at Safe Mart. Be safe.
Food is for eating. Food is for eating. Food is for eating with Waspy Soda Pop.
Hey there, everybody. This is Waspy Soda Pop with another episode of Food is for Eating. Today we got chicken and waffles. Everybody loves it. Here are your ingredients. 1 cup all-purpose flour, spooned and leveled. That doesn't mean you cuddle with it. That just means you make it put on a spoon. You get 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 politician. It can be a Yankee or Rebel, no big difference there. 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of milk, 2 large eggs, 4 tablespoons, like a half a stick of unsalted butter, mind you. Melt it. Get some maple syrup and butter as desired for serving, and that can be salted or unsalted depending upon what your tastes are. And 1 whole chicken. All right, here are your directions. First thing is you want to preheat a waffle iron in a large bowl. Whisk your flour, sugar, baking powder, and salt. Set that aside. At the same time, you need to have that politician by your side. You want to ask him a question. Tell him what your needs are. He will tell you what you want. Anyway, step 2. In a small bowl, whisk milk and eggs. Pour over flour mixture and whisk gently to combine. Don't overmix it, and gently whisk in the butter. Now, ask the politician about something else that's similar to what you want, and what he'll do is he'll give you a completely different answer. Anyway, step 3, cook the waffles until a deep brown and crisp it. For a standard waffle iron, though, you want to pour a generous 1/2 cup of batter into the center, spreading within a 1/2 inch of the edges, then close it. The waffle will cook about 2 to 3 minutes. You're going to serve it warm with maple syrup and butter as desired. Now ask that politician another question about the same thing you're interested in before, but tell him that you've changed your mind. He'll change his mind too. You know, whenever you got waffles, you need somebody waffling right next to you, and politicians are best at that. All right, then, final step, you grab your fresh chicken, take it out of the bag, make sure you drain all the liquid out of it, take that chicken, wash it, and then place it gently on top of your waffles, and you're good to go. Fresh chicken and waffles at the side of politician. This is Waspy Soda Pop, and Food is for Eating.
Oh my, that was very high concept, man.
High concept, really.
Yes, very
Waspy's just doing what Waspy does, you know.
Political satire.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it seemed like it was a legitimate ingredient to the recipe.
So just the fact that a politician is next to the oven waffling, it makes the flavor better. It's necessary.
I don't know. I thought that and the addition of the whole chicken on top of the waffles was something that works as well.
Sure.
At least you washed it and didn't cook it. It's like 1 raw chicken on top of your... Can you imagine that? You have waffles in front of you with maple syrup and butter on them already, and then you take a whole chicken and you stick the chicken on top of the waffle.
You know, I missed that part because I was just thinking about the politicians. I didn't realize the recipe was that bad.
Well, you know,
So you want to give people salmonella?
I think sometimes Waspy is making those plans. He's like trying to find ways to really thin the herd outside of COVID. For that,
he doesn't care.
He just does not care.
That guy
doesn't care. So many people, they just don't care. I don't know why that is.
I think most people don't care about a lot of things. I mean, look at how many people are like, yeah, we all know we're heading for an ecological crisis, but I'm not going to stop driving 2 blocks to the 7-Eleven instead of walking, you know, like little things. I know you have to drive sometimes.
Well, I think it's for the same reason why they can get soldiers to jump out of a foxhole and run towards bullets because they think it's just not going to happen to them. You know, so I think the same thing applies in terms of climate change, what have you, is that a person going, I'm not going to really do recycling or change what I'm doing because what I'm doing is negligible and doesn't make that much difference anyway. And I think it's people who just don't see their part in the bigger picture. And I think that's the same reason a lot of people don't vote. They just don't think their vote is that important. You know?
That's what I'm saying. That's so recycling every person. I recycle still. I'm still very persnickety about it. But I know that it's nothing. It's piss in the ocean. But voting for a president like Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders, that's a huge thing. I feel like if we don't go green, if we have a president who's just like, oh, no emission standards, factories can do whatever they want. Yeah, we're fucked.
Yeah, but it's still a piss in the ocean type of concept for somebody who feels that their voice doesn't
really
matter.
Dumb people, yeah.
Not even really dumb people. Some people feel like, you know, let's say, for example, if you are a Republican in Oregon, right, you could think that your vote doesn't matter because it's 90% Democratic in Oregon. And also, as a Democrat, you could consider that your vote doesn't matter because so many other people are...
now your vote for president.
It
matters everywhere. Your vote for president matters.
What I'm saying, though, is that a person can feel that way because of the fact there's so many other people who are also contributing their own voices to it. They can feel unimportant themselves, you know?
Yeah.
But that being said, we do need to move into the next segment, which, of course, is talking to you and what you're all about. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's time to ask Greg.
He has an opinion, may not always be right. He's a real fake lawyer. He's old and he's white. Ask him a question, 'cause he's a good egg for bogus advice. Ask Greg. Ask Greg. Ask Greg.
Wow. I say wow like there was something special that happened, but you know, nothing happened.
Yeah, nothing happened.
That's right.
You do care.
Nobody's asked a question for Greg ever, although allegedly last week the guys from Happy Hours News Team did. Do you think they would take this opportunity to give us a question on YouTube? But no, they have not. So they don't care. They say they care. They care enough to show up for the live stream, which is good. We appreciate them for being there for that. Today, we just have one of them watching. I don't know if it's Shanty or Sanchez El Dorado, but I think it's Shanty. Yeah, you know, it's just a lot of uncaring people out there. So let's get into asking Greg a legal question. So Greg, or dear Greg, what are the legal ramifications if you drive 1 mile over the speed limit and you get pulled over and given a ticket?
I don't care.
You don't care enough to respond, or that's the legal ramification?
It depends on the sheriff or the state trooper or the traffic cop who pulls you over.
Uh-huh.
If you're attractive and you have lots of pheromones, they'll say, nah, we don't care. Okay, they'll give you a warning maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look like me, and I went to a doctor and they actually said, like, you have no pheromones at all. Anyone who's ever been dated me was just like, I'm doing it against my better instinct just because I like the guy. I take pity on him. It wasn't like, oh, I want to date this guy. Like, I'm feeling this urge. You know how love is, an attraction. It is kind of nebulous and mysterious.
I thought we disagreed on that. That
No,
you
no.
say that I don't know how love is.
No, you proved yourself wrong on that. That's
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you haven't lived enough, or you're not as experienced as I am. I'm more worldly than you. But I think, so you're saying 1 mile over the speed limit. What does that mean?
Yes.
It's just as bad as being 20 miles over the speed limit. You're gonna
Same
get
penalties?
well, yeah, you're speeding.
Uh-huh.
But of course, we all know people who said that, like, oh, this cop pulled me over and they just gave me a warning. Mostly women I've known who cry, and they're attractive. That helps too. Attractive women who cry. They're the most powerful women in the world.
Yeah.
They could end world hunger if they wanted to. If every attractive woman just went up to people and started crying and said, "Feed the poor, please," I would be like, "Oh, we'll get on that."
Do you think that works for people across like genders?
Well, I guess
That would cause another attractive woman to care.
Well, we grew up at a time when most of the cops were men. Now that there's female cops out there,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure if you attract a man, you could squeeze out a few tears.
So you're
And they'd be like, "Oh, honey, it's okay. I'll just give you a warning this time."
so you're recommending that if you're a man, and you have to be an attractive man, and you get pulled over by a female cop, that you should start crying?
Yeah, it works.
What would that look like? So let's role play this, Greg. So let's say you get pulled over. Let's pretend you're attractive. That's right. Let's pretend
You're Angie Dickinson. You're a policewoman.
Is she alive?
I don't know.
Okay, so if I pretend I'm her and she's dead, then it's easy. I just go. How could she pull you over if she's dead anyway? Welcome to Quibbling, everyone.
Yeah.
So all right. So I'm the female cop, and I pulled you over, and
But specifically,
you're 1 mile an hour over the speed limit, and you're
policewoman.
allegedly an attractive man. So I come up and I'll say to you,
I'm Robert. Wagner,
"Can you give me your license and your registration, sir? You were speeding."
I'm so sorry. I don't know. I've been having a really rough week. Was I speeding? I'm so sorry.
Oh my God, you're pathetic. You're getting charged double.
I'm so sorry.
No good. Okay, you get a double violation
For bad
for
acting.
your horrible attempt at crying. All right, well, so we'll see how that wouldn't work. We've learned that right off the bat. So
No,
some
it
guy
could
just
if someone
has some crocodile tears. I think
more
most women recognize crocodile tears from men, from all of the men they've broken up with, who've tried to stay with them and have cried, and the women have gone, no. I know what you're doing, and sorry. I think that the cops in this.
Well, you don't think men get sad enough to cry when a breakup happens?
Real men don't cry, Greg.
You don't care about anything.
Only fake men cry, and those are the ones that are like just live with wheelbarrows as their living. Those are the ones that cry.
Is that a lifestyle choice?
Don't even ask me what that
live
means.
with a wheelbarrow. It's like LGBTQTW. That's another spectrum or color on the rainbow.
That's like the IA, then W. It's like intersex, asexual, and then wheelbarrow sexual.
Wheelbarrow. People who choose to be with wheelbarrows instead of any other human.
Mom, Dad, I've been holding the secret on for my entire life, and I have to tell you that I'm actually only attracted to wheelbarrows, and I'm going to be spending my life with this wheelbarrow here to my left. And,
Now, was the wheelbarrow Jewish?
I want you to, yes.
Is she
it's,
Jewish?
It's a kosher wheelbarrow.
Okay. Well, maybe
It was created. It was created under the supervision of at least 3 Hasidic rabbis, and blessed by them.
It was blessed
as they slaughtered a goat over top of them, and
properly,
exactly.
according to
kosher laws, right? And we are going to be celebrating this union with at least 1 case of Hebrew National hot dogs amongst us all. Anyway,
that makes it very kosher.
It does. Getting back to our client, which is you just don't care. there was these other quotes that I think we should probably address too.
Yes.
Here's one. I'm certainly not heartless. It just refuses to beat for those it does not care for. And here's one I think that applies to you the most, Greg. Don't care about your looks. You will always be pretty for the one who loves you. So, you were saying before that people fell out of love with you because they suddenly realized why they were dating you. Because, oh wait, we got a question from Shanty for Greg. Dear Greg, why is it legal in more states to marry your cousin than it is to buy legal cannabis?
There's really nothing. It's a stupid law. You should be able to buy cannabis anywhere.
But why is the question? Why is it legal?
I mean, I am a really good lawyer, but I guess it's that we didn't want flipper babies and pinheads being born. So, oh wait, I'm sorry, I'm arguing.
You're confused, aren't you?
There's more.
Why is it legal in more states to marry your cousin than it is to buy legal cannabis?
Is his first cousin, eighth cousin removed? Because eighth cousin removed is pretty safe.
It's probably first cousins. You can still marry them.
But you can't have progeny with them because they'll be flipper babies.
I think there's still more laws on the books that say it's okay to marry your cousin than it is to have legal marijuana.
I think it's because we
don't quibble on that. Just answer the damn question.
I'm saying. I think this is new territory for me. But I mean, as an expert in law, I can only imagine it comes from English common law, which America was from England. We kind of aped their legal system when we started our own, we aped it. And so.
Hello.
Wow. Oh no.
Are you still with us, Greg?
Yeah. So we aped their system, and all the monarchy would not only fuck their cousins and marry them, sometimes their sisters because they wanted to keep the royal blood so good.
All right, this is making sense. Keep going.
So we still have this thing of like, yeah, it's okay because like if you're an important family, you want to keep it in the family. You don't want to like have some mongrelization happening. You want like good pure blood of good aristocratic blood. So yeah, if a cousin's the best choice, maybe even a sister.
So this really comes down to like white supremacy is what you're saying.
It doesn't. It could be black people do the same thing.
Yeah.
Black people can marry their cousins.
But the laws weren't put in place so that black people could marry their cousins.
They could have.
Yeah, but generally the laws are in place in our countries.
No, yeah, they didn't give a shit about what black people wanted, of course.
Exactly, yeah.
They didn't care. They didn't care.
They just wanted to have sex with their cousins.
So, some did, yeah.
They didn't think about the ramifications, though, that in their white supremacist perspectives, that they would be aiding and abetting the progeny of African-American people also dating their cousins and creating more
I do think, though, that the chaos formed of incestual couplings and spawning progeny that are going to be maybe a little less normal. I mean, I saw this movie just recently.
You saw a movie? Wow.
I saw a movie called, it's very enlightening. You should watch this, man. It's called Reefer Madness. And
Reefer Madness. That's a new one.
The turmoil that marijuana causes in the community might be a good thing that it's easier to marry your cousin than smoke reefer cigarettes, because I mean, apparently this movie is very based on true facts.
It's very based on.
It's very based on. It's extra based on true facts, and
you're based on.
And if you smoke marijuana, like within a week, you'll be like in a whorehouse, or you'll be dead.
So wait, if you smoke marijuana within a week, you'll become a whorehouse.
You'll be in a whorehouse. You'll be a whore or dead,
or a house.
Or you'll be dancing on a piano, which is very dangerous. Like apparently reefer makes you want to jump up on a piano and dance. And do the Charleston. And that's very dangerous. So I think marrying your cousin is less of a danger. They're both, I think, should be legal. Or I mean, one shouldn't be legal. But there is more danger from reefer cigarettes. They lead, and then of course there's like the you smoke one reefer, and the next week you're a junkie. You're shooting up heroin.
Yeah, but
This
you
is-
would think that they would then encourage more places to have legal marijuana because more than likely, the more marijuana you be smoking, the more likely you are to start dating your cousin.
Could be. I don't know
Yeah,
about that.
due to the changing in chemical.
But
chemical
studies have
nature of your
found that
mind.
reefer usually less than making people want to date their cousin leads to people dancing on pianos, which is very dangerous.
Well, you could say it'd be like horizontal dancing on pianos.
That's not that dangerous. You might roll
With
off.
your cousin.
You
Horizontal
might
dancing
roll
with your
off,
cousin
you know,
on a
in
piano.
the throes of passion, you might hit your head when you fall
If it's a
off.
grand piano, maybe
Yeah,
not.
but dancing on a piano is a very risky
If
thing.
it was a player piano, yeah, that's worse. But if it's a grand
Or a
piano
Casio keyboard would be really bad.
or a Casio calculator,
Do
those
they
are
make
the
calculators?
hardest.
I
They
think it
used
was
to.
Texas Instruments made all.
Do you remember way back in the day that Casio used to make the watches with the calculators?
Oh yeah, that was Casio.
Way back when. Way
That
back
was only
before
and only
video
the coolest
games.
guys had those.
children.
Only the coolest guys had those calculator watches.
And they had those little games on them too that you could play that were just these. The only thing you could get electronically is a game that was
I had a
portable.
watch that played Pac Man for a week and then it broke. It was shoddy. All those video game.
Did Pac Man get released from your watch? Did you see it scurry off after it broke?
Maybe.
Pac Man just went down the street. I saw it leave the watch.
No, those things were shoddily built. Those like you'd be like, wow, I got a Pac Man watch in school. Like during class, I could play Pac Man. My teacher wouldn't even notice. They always broke in a week. Those fucking things. They were terrible.
So many things that we had to deal with back in the day. How we were so excited to get those Mattel football games that were the little red lights.
Those were good though. That was a fun game.
We think they were good, but when my kids were younger and like around that age, when we were excited about them, and I showed them that, they did not care.
I'm sure.
That brings us back to our client, where they just did not care because there's so many better video games than those little Mattel red light things that we liked because that's all we had at the time.
So I got this bootleg video at San Diego Comic-Con like in the early 90s where it was all the TV commercials for kids from like 68 to 78.
Uh-huh.
And it was amazing how like basically watching this, you just realize the whole world was just waiting for video games to be invented. They just had every kind of goofy gadget on a game, like, ooh, this game has a moving thing that does this. It was still so pathetic, but kids loved it. Like we loved Mousetrap. Remember Mousetrap? How exciting it was. Oh, this thing drops and whoa, this is fascinating. Everything was shit as soon as video games came around. You were like, fuck all that shit. I'm never going to play a board game again.
When I was in elementary school, I was living in Pennsylvania at the time, and that was when pinball was popular, right? So for me, I got a thing for Hanukkah, which was like this fake little pinball game, which had little targets that you would pull down that were connected to a rubber band, and it had little flippers, and then you had like a ball bearing that you would use the flippers on. It would hit the thing on the rubber band, and it would go shooting up into the, well, a little bit into the air whenever you hit it. And that was exciting for me. And I was in like between second and fourth grade at the time when those came out. So yeah, but then later on getting the, well, you know, and the games we used to play before video games, pencil fighting. Remember pencil fighting? You are furrowing your brow at me. How dare you not know what
I think
pencil
I
fighting
maybe
is?
know this, but I'm not.
I went through so many pencils in elementary school.
What is pencil fighting? Would you stab someone in the eye with your pencil?
No, that could be one. But no, it would be you're battling pencils. So someone would hold a pencil, and then you would take your pencil and take a whack at their pencil, and then you would switch. And whoever's pencil broke lost the game. And so the part of the game was...
You could break someone's pencil with another pencil?
Yes. And you got really good at knowing which pencils were better at pencil fighting with.
Okay,
and you could break more people's pencils.
I'm referring my brow because I never heard of this.
Wow. And I experienced that, I think at like 3 different schools I experienced pencil fighting. It ended after elementary school. But pencil fighting was a thing for at least a couple of years.
So you
It
dreamt
was
about
two
this
schools.
game in 3 different schools. You had
I
dreams.
think it was like 2 different schools, but maybe
But
it was
the
just where I
magic-
was living in that part of the country because it was an elementary school, then middle school at this so it was like in Virginia was where that particular game was taking place.
Did you
But
do the
man, we
nickel
went through a
thing on
lot
your
of
elbow?
pencils. What's that?
Did you do putting the nickels on your elbow like Fonzie did in Happy Days?
Yes,
Did
and
you do
I
that
got
one?
really good at that. I was able to do
I was
like
really I was the best in
handfuls
my
of
school.
coins.
It was,
I would stack up like quarters on my arm or pennies
yeah.
or whatever I happen to have, and we would try to do as many of them as possible.
I'd have like 25 pennies stacked on my arm. It was the only thing I was good at in my life, like that I excelled at. Where I was the best kid in school at that, and I beat everyone. I never had an innate talent for anything.
I was really good at playing Mercy with people.
Which
Did you
is
ever play
Mercy.
Did you know
What is
Mercy?
that? I think I do. But
That's where you like take somebody else's hand in your hand, and then you push it over, and whoever like goes Mercy.
oh, this
loses.
thing, yeah.
Yeah,
Ah,
but we wouldn't do like 2 hands. We'd do 1 hand. So it'd be like right hand to right hand to make it fair. Because it wasn't really fair if you're doing a right hand to a left hand to somebody who is like not a lefty. So
so you had really strong wrists, so that's why
I
you're
apparently
good.
did. Maybe it was because I played saxophone or something. I don't know, but I was good at that particular game. But these are the things we did, everybody, before video games. We tortured each other. We broke their pencils or we broke their wrists. That's what school
I
was
would
all
play
about.
Shoots Away. Shoots Away was like awesome. When I first
Shoots
saw
away.
it.
I'm not familiar with what's shoots away.
It was kind of like the board would revolve, and you'd look through a viewfinder and have to drop little things into the holes. That would
That was something you did in school.
no, it was a board game, but
Oh, a
you know,
board game.
beyond a
Oh,
board
oh.
game, it was like an
Gotcha.
action game. It like had this mechanism, and it was almost like a video game, an analog video game.
Not familiar with that one.
It wasn't a video game at all, though. It was
No,
just
I'm saying
like,
I'm not familiar with that board game.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Maybe it was after your time.
I
or-
knew shoots and ladders, but I didn't know shoots away.
Yeah, I mean, that's what from watching these commercials from the 60s, like any little innovation like that was like, wow, this is awesome. And then it's just like, no, it's not. It's just, after 1 week, you're bored of it. You know, it was pathetic. But you
It
were
was like
so,
that board game Sorry, which had the little pop-up thing with the dice. You know, like that
yeah,
was
even
innovation.
that was just like, wow. And then
I know.
I got my first Pong game, and I was like, oh, fuck all this shit.
Oh yeah, Pong could be frustrating as hell though, because you know the ball would get faster and faster, and your paddle would get smaller.
Yeah. But it was fun. Like, it was definitely more fun than Shoots Away. And then Space Invaders, come
Yeah.
on.
You know, where Space Invaders came out where I lived, where there was a glitch in the arcade game where if you pushed the coin return button, you'd get free games. And so
What?
we were like racking up like 99 games at a time for free by
Oh my
hitting
God.
coin
You know
return on that
that?
particular one.
Do you know Galaga still has a glitch? Still to this day. There's a glitch in every Galaga machine. I know it. And you can make it so if you do a certain thing, it's got a little boring for 5 minutes. You just gotta like sit there and like dodge some bombs. After a certain time, you do this certain configuration, they don't drop bombs for the rest of the game.
You know that Galaga was a sequel to a game, right?
Yeah, Galaxian.
Oh, okay, good. Just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure.
But Galaga, there's no more Galaxian. You never see a Galaxian game. Galaga took over.
I know.
There's a better game.
I just
But-
thought it was a bad choice of names to name it, though.
Yeah, but it has this glitch in it still to this day. I mean, at least it did 10 years ago.
What's the
That's
glitch
right.
do again?
It's something like where the first screen you kill everyone except for the 2 guys, I think on the right. Just
Uh-huh.
2 guys all the way at the bottom, and you let them live. You can't kill them. They keep sweeping down at you. It takes like 5 minutes, so it's a little boring. You just avoid them so you can't die. And then eventually you'll notice they stop dropping missiles. And then you wait a little longer just to make sure, because every now and then they'll trick you and be like, "Oh, we haven't dropped them in 4 sweeps, but now we're dropping 1 more." When you realize they're not dropping any more missiles, you kill those 2. The rest of the game, no more missiles. It's still
Oh.
hard. There's
Yeah.
still lots of them swooping down at you. But I flipped the machine once through that. I've never done that in a video game. I flipped the machine, made it go back to 0. I got
Oh
such
my
a high
gosh.
score.
And you
I
get
know.
to have your
My-
initials on that machine
Yeah,
forever.
my friends were bringing me drinks and stuff. I was like, I'm going to do this. They're like, Greg, you need another soda? I was like, yeah, bring me soda.
Yeah, I'm gonna live on this game. I'm
It
never
was
gonna
hours.
leave
It took like
forever.
I don't know why. I probably peed in my pants. Now I couldn't do it. I'd have to pee.
You could call your friend and say, "Get me a funnel."
Yeah, give me a, what is it called? A catheter,
Give me a funnel and a 2-liter bottle of soda that's empty.
a piss
I'll
bottle.
take care of it. All right. Well, this has been an engaging client for today, which is you just don't care. You just don't care. That was our client for today. We had some
We're
more.
already done?
I know it was.
Oh my god! Yeah, we are.
I know we've gone for like over an hour, I believe. You know.
Yeah.
Well, we had a very intense round of conversation there for a while,
It
which I
doesn't seem
think
that
took
long,
up a
though.
lot of our time where we didn't realize that we had taken up the time. But
Yeah.
that's really kind of what everybody should know. This is probably the purest episode of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker because it's
It's why we started.
me bitching and moaning and then arguing with Greg about something. That's
But
why.
I gotta say, it kind of proves that I care. That I could get so lost in this argument.
Uh-huh.
If I didn't care, I would have just been like, "Fuck you, I'm out of here. Stop
Yeah.
yelling at me. Stop giving me shit." But I care enough to listen to your concerns and debate them. Not only just debate them, but like trounce you in the debate and prove you to be an utter fool. That's how much I care.
That'll never happen.
You
Greg.
don't believe in
but
pheromones.
but at least you maintain your fantasies, and I'm willing
You're
to
like a
let you
no-vaxxer.
explore your
You're
fantasies.
like a no vaxxer. It's like, pheromones are a myth. Pheromones are scientifically proven, man. You can't deny them.
I did not deny that pheromones exist. I deny the
Clearly
fact
you
that
did.
reason cannot work over pheromones. Reason
No, they
can work
can.
over
They can
pheromones.
trumpet.
Absolutely, Greg. Yes.
I never said that, but
Yeah.
it does help with a relationship. Certain people you have chemistry with.
very, very mildly.
No.
Absolutely. Yes. Unless you're some kind of butterhead who can't think rationally.
You've never had awesome sex with someone who was totally wrong for you. You're like, this girl's nuts. She has nothing in common with me, but when we fuck, it's just like electricity.
I've
Like,
never
when I
given
met her-
that much weight to sex, Greg.
Okay, there you go. That's a big thing of a relationship.
There you go.
Okay. So you don't care
Eh.
about sex.
Eh.
So then,
It's fun, but that's about it. It's not like the thing that drives me.
so if there's no sex, no sexual attraction in a relationship, you'll be like, I still like her.
You can choose to be attracted to anybody.
You can choose to be attracted to someone.
Absolutely,
I
you can.
wish.
You can.
God,
Absolutely,
what
you
fantasy
can.
world do you live in?
You can always
Lucky
find
you.
You can always find something that's attractive about somebody. And you can always find something that's unattractive about somebody. Trust me on that one. I can always find something unattractive about the best-looking person.
Yeah, we all can.
Right. That's my point.
But you
Isn't
can't
it?
force yourself to
And
be
the
attracted.
other thing is there's a converse to that, which is you can always find something attractive about the least attractive person who's out there. You could find a way to be attracted to them.
So you could date Roseanne Barr. You could will yourself into it. You could be like,
If I wanted to.
attracted to Roseanne Barr.
If I wanted to be attracted to Roseanne Barr, I'd find a way.
That's not attraction then, if you're willing it.
It is attraction.
It's not real attraction.
Because you would find a way.
That's bullshit.
Well, that's your definition.
No, it's bullshit.
Because you are not ruled by reason. So that's what I'm saying.
That's reason doesn't have anything to do
It's
with love.
totally,
and
it's absolutely about that.
love and attraction have nothing to do with reason.
No, only because you're a moron. But that's the only reason
No,
that happens.
it's
Yes,
not.
you are a
That's
moron.
the
It's
definition
true.
of love.
No, that's
Love
the
is-
definition of moron.
Why do you think love is so magical? It's just like you don't
It's not
even know.
magical, Greg. You're
It is
choosing
pretty magical.
You're choosing to say it's magical, but it's not magical. It's got very
So many
specific
people
parts
don't have
to
love
it.
in their lives. It's this
So many
weird
people are
magical
morons,
thing.
Greg. That's how it works. You know, there's
It has nothing to do with
anti-vaxxers out there.
moron.
Right? Yes, morons.
I
There's
think you're
plenty
the
of them.
moron
No,
for
you're the
pretending
moron.
that you love someone that you don't love. Like, I willed it into happening. You think you did.
You make
But
choices. You can
If
choose
you have
to
to
love
will
somebody.
yourself into loving someone, it's probably not love.
Yeah,
If
you
you
don't know
have
what you're
to-
talking.
if you have to
Like you
think
know
about
this. What's your longest
Yeah,
term relationship,
It's
Greg?
obvious.
No, it's not obvious. What's
I
your
try to
longest?
love people.
What's your longest term relationship, Greg?
Exactly.
No,
And
I'm
then I
asking you. What's your
realized
longest term relationship? What is it? How
3
long?
years or something.
Three-
Because
Okay,
I
so
realized,
and you're trying to tell me that I don't know as much, whereas I've had
you
much
don't,
longer
because
relationships.
you're settled.
But
for
you
whatever.
don't know. It's not settling, Greg.
Whatever you convince yourself that.
Whatever
I
you're
love
convincing
this
yourself
person.
of. You're convincing
I
yourself
love
of
this
your
person.
fantasy. You're being too much of a romantic. Do you read
I'm
like
not
lots of
romantic.
romance novels? Is that what's going on here? Is you've like believed all of the schlock that like that is now part of your psyche? It's
No,
like
Matt,
you take
that
what all of the
romance-
romance novelists go, oh yes, that's got to be true. It's got to be. It's I can't explain it. Oh my gosh, no, that's yeah.
No,
whatever.
they're romance graphic novels. First of all, they're not. But No, man, it's a,
I knew it.
that's-
I knew
Why do
it.
you think? Why do you think people love watching love movies and love novels? Because love is such a fucking quandary, mystery. It doesn't make any
To
sense.
you.
No, it doesn't to anyone.
Yes, to you, not
Why
to
do you think
anyone.
people talk about it all the time? They're like, if it was that easy, like, oh, I'm going to will myself to love this person who loves me back, even though I have no attraction or, but I can convince myself.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. There's going to be someone who offers himself to you. It's like, I like you. I will like you back. I would will myself into it.
If they want to, they can.
It would be
If
that
you
many
want to, you
lonely
can.
people.
If you want to, you can.
But that's not real love. That's just like
It is.
this
It's as
bullshit
real love as any
logical
other
thing.
love can be.
No, it's not.
Sure, it is. You just don't want to believe it, but that's
Why do you
okay.
think there's so many blues songs called like Crazy Love? And, you know, like I don't like you, but I love you. These are real things. These guys weren't just writing out of their ass.
That's what you say.
Huh?
I'm willing to say they're writing out of their ass.
No. These
Yes,
are
I am willing to say that, Greg. You can't say no about what I'm willing to say.
How many love songs are like, you make perfect sense to me. I would love you because it's logical. Oh, baby, you're such a good partner for me that I must love you. And yeah, that's a common theme in love songs.
Well, you don't need to write love songs if you're smart.
You don't have to write love songs if you're dumb or smart.
Well, apparently you do because you write them. That's why there's lots of silly love songs.
I haven't written many love songs. Silly love songs. Paul McCartney.
It's so true. Anyway, this is something we can certainly explore another time. But I think we found the right client for today. At the very
No,
least.
we're gonna do this part 2 next week. I think. I don't care. Revenge of you don't care.
Or what's wrong with Matt? it's the Greg doesn't care show, and the next week can be the like what's wrong with Matt show.
Why is Matt a robot?
Let me count the ways. All right. Well, I hope you've all enjoyed this today. The 3 people who normally watch
Is Matt a
on
Vulcan?
YouTube. If only I could be that. I did try to emulate myself after Spock growing up, so there might be part of it there.
Chicks Doug Spock. I got it. I get it.
Yeah, especially when he got emotional and played the lute.
And he cried.
Anyway, so this has been the client you just don't care on the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker.
Your consultation with the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker has ended. You may pay your retainer at www.qsblaw.org. Please exit to the right of the water cooler and grab a candy from the front desk. We hope to see you again soon, but you need to leave now. I said leave. Why don't they listen? Get out! Get out!